Oh my God, indeed, Jessica, that hug huddle. That's I mean that really sums up how they are feeling. And he served 40 years of 400 years. He'll never be able to get those 40 years back. But my God, if that doesn't bring you joy to see justice finally being served.
Yeah, this is some rare good news that we get to deliver today. And I think we should just keep it going. I mean, if we talk to folks in the criminal justice system and we ask them, have things improved since the 60s? Have they improved since the 70s, since the 80s? Because it sounds like we're hearing about a lot of cases where there's evidence that would acquit people entirely that was just blatantly ignored, evidence that they had in their possession at the time of the conviction and sentencing. So maybe if things are better now, we should go back and review all of those prior convictions. It seems like a good investment of taxpayer resources considering what we spend housing people in prison. I don't know, the cost benefit analysis seems to be in public favor there and on the side of justice.
I agree with you, Jessica, wholeheartedly. And let us bring people up to speed on Sidney Holmes. It's just, that clip just says it all. We could have ended right there. Sidney Holmes was arrested on October the 6th in 1988 and then convicted following a jury trial in 1989 for allegedly serving as the driver for two unidentified men who robbed a man and a woman at gunpoint outside the store. The two men also stole the male victim's car, according to the Broward County State Attorney. Now, he was freed, him being Sidney, because the state decided to reinvestigate, which is what JB is talking about, the 1988 armed robbery in which Holmes was accused of being the getaway driver. This is what they found. Reinvestigation by the Conviction Review Unit found that eyewitnesses' identification of Holmes was probably a misidentification, partially due to a photo and live lineup practices that were commonly used by law enforcement at the time, which was described as scientifically unreliable. Prosecutors with the Conviction Review Unit determined that Holmes has a plausible claim of innocence because of how he became a suspect and because of the precarious eyewitness identification that was the principal evidence against him at trial. And this is coming from Harold Pryor, the Broward County State Attorney. There was no evidence tying Holmes to this robbery. It was a situation of misidentification. This type of situation should not be common. The only robbery that occurred was that of the 34-year-old Mr. Holmes' life. He was robbed. And the takeaway here, how long are stories like this going to be headlines? How many people right now are getting locked up for crimes that they, in fact, did not commit? Too often, this nightmare is a reality for Black men in America, especially. Here are a few. Let's put up these headlines. A wrongfully convicted Black man was freed 18 years after misidentification. Or another one, wrongfully imprisoned man released after 21 years for a crime lawyers says didn't even happen. Another one, judge frees Lamar Johnson after 28 years in prison. Original murder case was suspect at best. Here's another one. After serving 38 years for murder he didn't commit, Maurice Hastings has finally been declared innocent. Will we see these stories when we see a change? Who knows? We got to fix this. Jessica, final thoughts as we end our show today.
Yeah, it's just going to show that our criminal justice system is not so much a system of justice, and law and justice are not the same. And that means that we've got to take a little bit of an investment in figuring out what's going wrong. And I think a lot of us know what goes wrong in our criminal justice system. We had the First Step Act passed under Donald Trump's presidency, and it did intertwine our prison system with for-profit prisons a little bit more intimately while making it seem like it was reform. We really need reform, and we need to review prior convictions.
Yeah, we do. And I think every state, every local, everybody should have a review division to review and to make sure that people really do get justice. Sometimes in the Black community, we call justice just us. That is what this is turning into, but we can change it. Just because that's the reality today doesn't mean that it has to be the reality tomorrow. There needs to be a reimagining of the legal system in America.